So this is Nolan Wells' friend. Let's take a look at some of this interview.
I could describe Nolan in a million ways. I mean, Nolan was not just a best friend of me, but he was a brother. I grew up through elementary, middle school, high school, and even our freshman year of college. We talked on the phone all the time. We were really close friends. And Nolan was like a brother to me. And Nolan lit up every room he walked in. He always had a smile on his face. He always had something good to say. I've never seen Nolan get in an argument with somebody and say bad things about someone. There's a lot of people that talk crap nowadays, and Nolan was never that person. Sweetest soul ever. And I had a great relationship with Nolan. I've never got in an argument with Nolan. We were super close, and I've never said or will ever have anything bad to say about Nolan Wells.
Yeah. All right. So this is one of his friends, one of his buddies, just giving some background into who he was and who he was to Nolan. All right. He goes on to say Nolan was at his house and his buddy's house. They hung out most weekends. They didn't go to Nolan's house much. Okay. So he did not really know Nolan's parents. All right. But Nolan was at his house a lot of the times. And they have been friends since the 8th grade. So during that year, because when they were in the 8th grade, it was their COVID year. That's when they really became close. All right. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelly, just the beginning part of this.
There's nothing more. He's just telling his story. One thing I will say is this. I tend to believe that these boys, young men, they were close friends. You know why? Because unlike girls, boys can just get together, a ball and some food, and they will, they tend to just bond, and they're not like, like us girls, we got to have a whole lot of drama. But I tend to believe that. So again, I'm just appreciating him telling the story.
Yeah. Nicole, he goes on to talk about the 4th of July incident. Okay. And this is where I wanted to talk to you about, Nicole, because you come from a water town. All right. And he talks about how 4th of July was a huge,
it's a big event. Yeah.
Yeah. For boaters and fishermen. It's very popular here. It was a huge day for them to be on the water, and everybody was going to Horn Island. So they went last year. Nolan went with him and stuff, and they stayed at a buddy's house while they were there. And they had a good time, and so they were going again this year. What did you think about that part?
That speaks of, small town America. Just to be very honest with you, not everybody has like an urban area with, big skyscrapers. Some of us have the river. Some of us have the bay. Some of us have a lake. And what we do is we use that the same way that the urban people use Main Street, where you may have a marching band. We have what we call a boat parade. Everybody gets their little boats out, puts their American flags on it. If there's an island that people can get to, you party on the island. It's the same type of community building, but in miniature. But everybody who's anybody from the community shows up. It's just a good way to have nice, clean, wholesome fun in what we have available to us. And I'm just listening to this young man talk about Nolan. You can tell they were good friends. You can tell just from the sound of his voice that he misses his friend. And I'm sure his friend would be mortified at all this drama that's going on around. But kudos to this young man for saying what's true, having the bravery and the courage to even sit down with Officer Tatum and talk about his friend.
Yeah. And we're going to go into it, but I wanted to, he also explained how the reason why a lot of his other friends have not spoken out, he's actually a brave young man because they're receiving death threats. Okay. And so many of the other boys that were there are afraid to come out in public and speak about this. But this young man, was brave enough to do it. So let's talk about where he talks about that day and what happened on Horn Island. So take a look here.
Out to this island.
And that's completely incorrect. Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water on, throughout the entire Gulf Coast. Everybody and their mom is on the water on 4th of July, There's no telling. Roughly probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up off the island. I mean, there was 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended, until I could see of people from, I mean, there was 1 row of boats, and then there was another row of boats, and then there was a 3rd row of boats.
Yeah.
I mean, there was people lined up all up and down the island to where, I mean, who knows? I mean, and that wasn't just, we were parked on the north side, on the west tip. It wasn't just there. I mean, there's tons of people packed out on the south side and on the east end and in the middle of the island. But just where we were, I mean, there was easily 1,000 people. It wasn't just us.
Let's go back.
So you hear what he said. All right. Tons of people. Okay. Everybody was there. All right. And there were a lot of people there. Is this what you're kind of used to, Nicole, in these types of settings? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Again, it's kind of like in Baltimore City, where you have parades, you know, and people are out and you see row and row of people just kind of waving and getting the candy from the people participating in the parade. Very much the same thing. Some people never leave their boats, especially if you got a nice one, you party on your boat, right? But if you're young and there are pretty girls or handsome men or young men on the island, you get off the boat and you go to the island where you can mix and mingle and have a good time. So it is very much the same affect, except for instead of Main Street, it's water. And think of the island itself as kind of like the hot spot where everybody meets up. So it is very common, very, very common in places that are water facing to have these kind of events. 4th of July is the big one. Absolutely. It's spring break. You see the same thing when kids are out on spring break.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So he said they got to Horn Island around 10:30 a.m. that morning. There were miles of boats. This is a massive island, so it's about 10 to 12 miles long. Everybody's drinking, eating. It was a big party. All right. And in this next video, he takes him to the actual place. All right. Let's see here.
What happened but the boys? It's a flat out lie. Is there anything that you want to say, you want people to know about this whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, if someone's not from here, it's kind of hard to understand, you know, where the island drops off and how the island works. But, you know, there's plenty of people out here, especially on the 4th of July, you know, this is where people come out to celebrate. And I mean, if you fill the water, you could see right here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you could see literally where it drops off. Oh, so I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep, and then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island, and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water. Yeah. So I mean, if we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip of the island is, and that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want to. Because the way you articulate it, I just walk in the water with my pants. I mean, they're wet. Mm-hmm. You can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th and, you know, Memorial Day, like, you know, days like that, they come out here to celebrate, and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat, in a lake, you know, if you're sitting on a pond, and no one's getting out of the water with their phone in their hand, unless, you know, it's to take a quick picture. But most of the pictures taken on the 4th of July were on the boat. Yeah. I mean, and, you know, salt water, if you drop your phone in salt water, most of the time you're not going back. Yeah. I mean, you know, especially the water's murky right now because there's been a lot of rain. You can't see, the visibility isn't good. The water isn't clear like it was last year around this time. And, you know, like no one has their phone though, usually. I mean, unless you're crazy, I'm not walking around with my phone in my hand. They've been walking around Horn Island, you know.
How many people left the phone on the boat? Was it just his phone when y'all left, or I mean, other people have phones on the boat?
Absolutely not. Like there was at least, well, I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with Triton. I mean, to get on the boat with Wyatt because we were having, you know, boat issues. And when I got on the boat, there was phones everywhere on the console. I mean, everywhere. Like, I mean, there was everybody's phone that was sitting around the boat was on the console. Like we had phones that we didn't even know whose they were.
All right. So let's talk about, does this make sense to you ladies?
Yes,
absolutely. You get off the boat. I mean, I can even suspect that some of them, once they got closer to the beach area, they probably jumped off the boat to maybe take a little swim in the more shallow water. Leave your phone on the boat. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So again, we don't know. Accident, tragedy, harm, whatever. I don't know. But this all sounds reasonable.
Well, it sounds normal. You know, again, this is not like where, like if you go to the wharf in DC and they've got slips for you to put your boat, you know, you get as close as you can. But even some parts of our river, you can walk up, you know, to your forehead on the sand. There's water, of course, but it's walkable. You can walk out, you can jump off a boat and just walk in. Of course, you're still going to get wet. It's going to be a little bit higher than waist deep. So you don't want anything valuable in your pocket, like an iPhone. You definitely don't want your iPhone in your pocket. And a lot of people leave not only their iPhone, but if they have, you know, paper money in their pockets, that you leave all your valuables, you stick it in your boot and leave a boot on a boat. Or if you're a lady, you got a handbag or a backpack. This is what you do. Even when we're in Garrett County and we're riding the pontoon boats, you know, the boats with the big balloons on the bottom that kind of float around, everybody puts their stuff stowed away so you don't lose any of your valuable things. So I really wasn't worried about the phone thing. I was more concerned the way they described him being left on the island until someone who was actually on the island described what was happening. And then that made sense. But I think what you said earlier, KJ, is very important, that these kids are getting death threats. You know, I'm sure their parents are getting all kind of threats and all of that. They don't want to be that kind of involved in that. Nobody wants to be the guy that says the wrong thing, puts his foot in his mouth and wiggles his toes around and causes a firestorm for everybody. So I don't blame their parents for protecting them. I know I would do the same. I would absolutely do the same.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, you brought up a very good point. He mentioned in part one of this, and we have that, that how when they came to Horn Island on 3 separate boats, okay, each boat had, I think he said, like 10 to 20 people on each boat. All right. When they got to Horn Island, it was a huge party. So he was like, you know, what boys do, you know, I know this personally, when they go off, because here we have Ocean City, Maryland, they go down there and you meet all kinds of friends. You don't really, boys aren't like girls, unfortunately. You don't stay, they don't stay with the group they came with all the time. When they get there, they may meet people that they went to, you know, high school with, or they may meet people that were on their sporting team and they hang with them. You see all kinds of people because boys they know everybody. All right. And he said that's what happened. So he said when they got to the island, he sort of lost contact with Nolan. Nolan went on what he wanted to do, and he was on what he wanted to do. Okay. And I mean, folks, we got to stop racializing everything. You know, these are boys that were friends. White boys and black boys were friends. It's just sick the way we racialize so much stuff and push negative connotations and attributes on people based off of their race. It's really sad. Let's hear a little bit more what he says here.
You know, and people just leave their phone, especially when people are drinking. You know, there's plenty of phones on the boat. Everybody's phone was on the boat. I never saw someone in the water that day sitting with their phone in their hand, scrolling on anything, or even having this picture of myself or of someone else.
Not what it was on the 4th of July. So, like, how dense was it with people here?
Well, I mean, you look at all the videos, you know, that are spread out online, and a lot of them, you know, you can't believe what you see all the time online. You know that better than anybody. But, I mean, there was boats lined up all the way down the island, and there was rows. There was a first row, there's a second row. This is where people want to be. This is where people want to come out, hang out with their family and friends. And
people say that you guys just left Nolan behind. I've seen reports of people saying that you just left him. I see reports of people saying that you asked him to get on the boat. You told him to get on the boat. He didn't. What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit, and which is the, you know, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with. And the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah.
Go.
I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think it's important for people to have the context of like what it was on that day, what happened, what didn't happen. And the beauty of all of this is that you guys have evidence to prove that, of course, you asked Nolan to come on and different things like that.
So you saw it. Shelly, what are your thoughts there?
Again, what he's saying sounds normal. It certainly sounds, I guess, reasonable, if that's the word, but it doesn't. He's just describing what happened. Again, this is part of the, I guess, investigation. The fact that Nolan may have chosen to stay. Some, like Brandon said, there are reports saying one thing, reports saying another. But even if he chose to stay, he was 18. Okay, he can make that choice, even if his parents have told him that, you know, stay with the group that you came with. Well, unfortunately, teenagers don't always do what parents say when the parents are not present. Okay, and sometimes, unfortunately, when the parents are present, they still don't. Again, I'm not putting anything quote unquote onerous on Nolan, but it's very possible and likely that he chose to stay. There are also reports that I saw on social media very quickly before I came on tonight. I think there is a video or audio, I would say, of some young woman talking about the female that Nolan was talking to. Again, this is all, I guess, I don't know, speculation, but there is a video on social media that's going around with this particular audio right now.
Okay. All right. I want to just get to this last part because I think this is very important. I mean, folks, you understand that people that were considered his friends are really being trashed and connected with the death of their friend. That's a hard place to be. That's a hard place to be. And here he is in this next part, his friend talking about his relationship with Nolan. All right, take a look here.
So Nolan and my buddy Javon are talking, and you know, I grew up with Nolan, and Nolan's, you know, just all, like I said, like just so joyful, like always happy. Like every picture I have with Nolan or picture I have of Nolan, he's smiling. I mean, like he's always happy. If I always need like a shed of light, I'm calling Nolan, you know. And Nolan and I laugh and joke a lot. Like that's how our friend group is. We're really jokingly laugh. You know, no one takes anything that serious. You know, we enjoy our time together, you know. I mean, there's never any awkwardness within our friend group. We're very, very tight. So if I ever need to get something off my chest or talk to anybody, I'm talking to all my friends. I'm not just talking to like specifically anybody. I'm just, like, even if I'm having issues with something, I go talk to my group chat, and my guys are there to, you know, give me a hand anytime I need it. And all my guys are, you know, all my buddies are the same exact way, you know.
This almost made me well up because the way he's talking, folks, I have a son the same age and he literally talks like that. They call their friends my guys, my guys. You know, it's just so sad the way this thing, I can't stand Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump. It's wicked what they're doing. It's wicked. Final thoughts on this, Nicole.
You know, I pray for his mother and his father, that they find peace beyond understanding in this position that they're in. I'm hopeful that there are other people in their family that can at least try to get these vultures, these leeches off of these people so they have the space to grieve. And again, we may not ever know exactly what happened. And that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. But once the fame is off of this and all the money has been sucked away from this family, this mother and father still have to grieve the loss of their son. And that's the part that makes me want to cry, because Al Sharpton will go on and boycott Walmart, or, go back again and try to go after Target. I mean, he'll find another cause de celeb to be invested in. And Ben Crump is never going to run out of people who want him to come and pretend like he's a broke Martin Luther King. He's never going to run out of that. But this family lost their son. He's never coming back. And they're going to have to deal with that once all the lights and cameras and the GoFundMe is gone. That's the part that my heart breaks for.
What's up, everybody? This is Poppin' Politics. Get your merch. Are you a Poppin' Politics fan? Are you unapologetically American? Or not black, not white American? We got it all for you right here. Get your merch.
Get the classic shirt. Classic. Goes with everything, comes in a variety of colors. Smart, edgy, conservative, like us, like you. This is a great way to support the channel. Click the merch button.
There is no shame in being an American. Get your shirt today and be unapologetic about it. Get your shirt, wear it, and be a proud American.
You can get it all in t-shirts and hoodies. You can get it in stickers, on bags. You can get it all on our website, metroconservativemedia.com, or our YouTube page, Pop and Politics, and tag over to store. You can get your merch and show you're proud to be an American and support Pop and Politics.